Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Pacific Nations Cup. This one, Japan taking on Canada. Now, Canada got themselves the big win last week over the USA. Some Ardron brilliance, but he is not playing in this contest. So now Canada, they head to Japan. They are the underdogs. They certainly want to prove what they can do here. Looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for the Japanese in this contest, they have gone with a pretty strong looking side overall. You've got that experience of Fakatava in the number 8 jersey, Warner Dearns in the locking duo with Dylan Riley in the middle of the park alongside Lawrence. But this side for Japan, there are some uncertainties. At the end of the day, they were beaten by Wales in the July internationals, but if anything, that probably just fired them up that little bit more. They are a strong team. I feel like they are a good mix at the moment of that experience and inexperience. I feel like it's quite a well-rounded type of team. So hopefully they go all right. And this contest for the Canadians, they've got quite a few of the sevens men in this setup here. And the number 8 jersey, Matt Awaru, definitely a man. Keep an eye out for Josiah Mora out on the right wing. And also in the number 15 jersey, Shane O'Leary. He was actually playing in the 2019 Rugby World Cup for the Canadians as they were not able to qualify for 2023, but the Pacific Nations Cup, it's been exciting so far. We did see the Fijians get themselves a win over Tonga. Last week, we got to see the Canadians get themselves the victory too. This is how it sat at the start of this round. So, it's a tricky one, I'll be honest, because if the USA don't even get close to Japan, I feel like Canada, as long as they get some sort of bonus point, or at least don't destroy their points differential here, they will probably go through to the semi-finals up against either Fiji or Tonga. Look the most likely after Fiji were just able to get themselves that win a little bit earlier on. But this game taking place in Japan, like I mentioned. And a little bit of a fun fact about this contest. On the channel, I have never covered a Canadian men's 15 game. We've done about 30 live streams of the sevens for the men and the women, but never a 15s game. And I feel like that is because some of the games, of course, aren't being shown here in New Zealand. Last week, I would have loved to cover that game, but it did overlap with this other matchup that we did between between Tonga and Samoa. No, Leach, nowhere to be seen for the Japanese. He's a little bit, in fact, is he still kicking about for Japan, or is he retired from the Japanese side? I know that he's still kind of in the environment every once in a while. 31 degrees Celsius for this match. I'm not sure what the weather's like in Canada at the moment, but if it is not a heat wave, they'll certainly be feeling it. In fact, Toronto weather, we will have a quick look. It's 12 degrees, but I think it's the middle of the night. High of 21 for each day, so this is going to be warm. The humidity factor will be high as well. I want to take Japan's line. Says Reeves there. I'm sure he's still active, says I know that he's playing in the Japanese top league, isn't he? But it's just whether or not Eddie Jones is still selecting him in that Japanese lineup. I have arrived, says it's Razor. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Canadians doing well up against the USA in the last contest. There are already quite a few Japanese fans, by the looks of it, fanning themselves. Try and deal with that temperature. The players will have to deal with as well. But a great turnout for this match. Sunny afternoon. Should be an outstanding one. The Canadian locks are both 6'3". It's going to be a tough day at the line-out. Definitely when you got Warner Dearns up against them in that number 5 jersey. Rara Tubua, I believe, is the other lock in this match for the Japanese. But yeah, it's certainly going to take a big effort from the Canadians. Definitely without Tyler Ardron, who got himself 4 tries last week up against the USA. He is nowhere to be seen in this lineup, but they have got the big man, Awaru, the number 8 jersey. Exactly, the other Japanese lock is 6'3" also. Says Vrim Vrim, it's Razor. It's going to be a tricky day at the office, I think, for both of these sides. Definitely dealing with that heat that they're going to have to here. We are only around 5 minutes away from the kickoff. Of course, there is another game that is coming up around the corner. That is going to be USA versus Japan. That is the Sunday kickoff for us here in New Zealand. That will either determine if Japan sit top of the table for the Pacific Nations Cup Pool B, or whether we do see maybe a half chance that the USA can push themselves in the right direction and secure some sort of chance of making their way through. But for that to happen, they have to hope that Japan absolutely dominate Canada here and then hope to dominate the Japanese next week. So a lot has to happen right. But overall, in this shortened competition, we pretty much know roughly who's going to be going through. It's just more the technicalities of playing those matches. But Canada, they will be wearing the white strip with the black shorts in this matchup. The Japanese, they are wearing that classic red and white. They'll be fully fired up for this contest. Looking through at the benches very quickly. Osada there in the number 23 jersey for the Japanese. Fukuda as the number 21. Hiroshi at 22. So some skill coming from the backs in the later stages of this contest. And of course, the bench replacements, they will be crucial in terms of the timing. You don't want to go too early. You don't want to leave it too late. In these type of conditions, I think whoever manages their team better has a very good shot of winning this contest. Although, like I said, Canada come in as massive underdogs. $11 to be exact. That is a bigger underdog than Tonga were up against the Fijians. Almost double it. But let's see what they can do. They're coming off a win. And we actually saw a little bit of rust from the Fijians in their game up against the Tongans for the start of that match due to them not playing the week prior. So I think that if Canada, they want to win this game, they have to make sure they strike first, and they have to strike often throughout that first 30 minutes. These are the July international results for these two sides. Canada, believe it or not, did not get themselves a win. They were beaten by Spain at home, beaten by Belgium at home, but then they came out and managed to get a massive victory over the USA in the first round of this competition. For the Japanese, they went 1-1 with the Welsh. They very generously ended that Welsh losing streak that the Welsh have been on for quite some time. The Canadian national anthem is currently being sung, and then we will be ready to go. Every time I see Canada, I look around for Thomas Isherwood, and sadly he is not in the team. Of course, he is from the Seven side of things as well. That man has the best mullet in the game. But still a couple of those Sevens boys in there as well. This Canadian side seem fired up, ready to go for this match, but they have to play well, like I said, right from the get-go. Salute Hamish, a Kiwi Lads fam. Looking like a cracker, says the AI underdog. And also, morning from warmer Sunshine Cape Town. And go Japan, says Nars Williams, but Warner is going to have be a nightmare tonight. Is Rumble playing? That's a name that I think I saw. I'm sure I saw that name. Maybe that was from last week, though. Not sure. I thought he was, but now that I look through... Oh, yeah, no, Lucas Rumble is there now that I think about it. I've just seen him in that lineup for the Canadians, so yeah, he is there in this match. We have got there morning, and Hamish, you say those Japanese names well, says Ruth. And also, come on, people, hit that like button, says Ruth there too. And no drawling and lusting over rugby players tonight, eh? Behaves, says Nars Williams. And when is the game? The game is kicking off in 2 minutes. So we are very close to the start of this contest. I'm in the mood for a big Japanese win, says Ruth. And yeah, if they do get themselves the big win here, Japan, it would put them in the perfect position to sit top of the table for this contest. What we're quickly going to do, though, we'll go a little bit more professional in some regards, and we will at least have the right background for this match, or at least I want to have the right background. Do I have the right background? I swear I had it here before in my settings, but it seems to have disappeared. So I don't know how that's happened, but I guess we'll just stick with this one. It's just a basic field in Fiji, in fact. And we have got there, sorry, when is the game? The game is kicking off in now 1 minute, so we are getting very close to the start of it. And Konnichiwa, Go Japan, says Suckerbulla there, and Cheer says Nars Williams and Boomer know nothing about Canada. Says Ruth, to be fair, other than those Sevens guys, I'm a little bit the same. Like I said, this is the first time we've covered a Canadian game on the channel for Rugby Union. I know that Tyler Ardron, he was one to keep an eye out for, but sadly not playing in this contest. I do think that Josiah Mora out on the wing will be one to watch out for. He's going head-to-head with Malo Tuitama. That will be physicality as the forefront. Isn't that Bulland or Stellenbosch? KFG says Ruth. And there too, and I was here when we first watched Canada, says it's Razor. Yeah, the 5 years or so on the channel, the over 2,000, or I think we're at least close to 2,000 live streams, but never a Canadian rugby union game. I really hope they don't get beaten badly here, or else we will be the unlucky jinx for the Canadian side. I played against Malo Tuitama at school. He went to Scots and played 13. Says it's Razor. And wouldn't it be awesome if USA and Canada were in the same World Cup pool? Says Tanner. Well, first, wouldn't it be awesome if they both make it to the World Cup? Because sadly, that was what they missed out on last time. It sounds harsh to say, but I was really expecting one of those two teams to make their way there. In the end, Chile were actually the team that managed to secure that spot. But Paul Williams, he'll be the referee in charge of this one. Glenn Newman is the TMO, but Japan kick off from left to right, and we are underway for the second game of the day of the Pacific Nations Cup. Nicely taken by the Canadians right next to the sideline. They're about 45 metres out from their own line. Bit of a rough pass. Taken by Canada. Now looking to roll this one back will be Jason Higgins. Puts it high. And like I mentioned, Canada needs to start quick here. They can't afford any sort of early mistakes that allow Japan into the game. That one close to going into the hands of Mason Fletch. Or Flesh, I should say. Now line out throw for the Japanese. So even in terms of that front row, we've seen quite a few changes now. Ira is the man who was starting. This one goes straight into the hands of Warner Derns, and now the back line of the Japanese starts to move it out to the left-hand side. Some nice pace being shown by Green. Now one more pass. This will be hard to stop to Itama, but they've done well, Canada, with the tackle from Josiah Mora. I'm already losing my voice. We're only 1 minute into this game. We've still got 2 more games later on tonight as well. Going off to the right-hand side. Straightening run. Seun-Sun Lee is always a danger in that first 5 roll. Now quick hands out wide for the Japanese. Stepping from Shimokawa. 5 metres out. Fujiwara. Again goes back to Derns. Seun-Sun Lee pops it up. Bit of a collision there, but the ball's still available. Dylan Riley kicking it in behind. Josiah Mora has no option but to just force it down. And it will be a 5-metre scrum, but a quick start to the match for the Japanese there. Canada 7, 8 and 14 are the ones to watch. I'm surprised we put Peter Nelson on. I've never seen him play a good game, to be honest. Says it's Razor there. And hi, Hamish and everyone. Halftime in Tasman versus Golden O. So popped over for a listen. Says Studs Race. Yeah, I saw that. Otago are doing extremely well in that match, if I'm correct there. Lesafai Nanuku is looking electric. It could be our very own Bundy Aki. Wait, was I looking at the Farah Palmer Cup, though? What's the score at the moment in that one Thuds race? Was I looking at the wrong game? I might have been looking at the women's game that took place earlier on. And I mate, what happened to the Kiwis versus South Africa game? Says Rajen, that game's taking place next week. So there is a bye week in the Rugby Championship. And now an attack and run from Bakatava gets close. He's on the line and he scores the try for the Japanese. 2 minutes into the game, the big number 8, but can play lock as well. It was a close game between Tasman and Otago. Says it's Razor. Yes, I must have been looking at the Farah Cup score. Possibly. Because that one that I was looking at was far from being close. One moment. Yeah, there it is. Tasman versus Otago Spirit. 15 points to 48 was the one that I saw the scoreline for. Thanks, Zuckerball and Hamish. Says Rajen. But yeah, we are going to be doing plenty of build-up for that match. We might even do some sort of live stream on the Friday night, or that will be Saturday morning for you guys in South Africa. In fact, that will be Friday morning for you guys in South Africa, in fact. And 17-21, Otago leading. Otago got a more try at half-time, but that one has gone over from Seun-Sun Lee, and that will make the score now 7-0 for Japan. So a very good start to this match. The try scored by Amato Fakatava. And Banzai says Sakabula there, and it's 2 minutes in, not 5 yet. And to be fair, that was a quick try from Japan, but it was slower than what we saw from Tonga in the game earlier on up against the Fijians, although the slight downside of that one for Tonga was it was their only try that they were able to score throughout the match. If Lesafai Nanuku gets selected, who do you think gets dropped? Probably a Moni Narua. And I have nothing against a Moni Narua. In fact, he's probably, in my opinion, one that's getting underused at the moment, but I just don't see anyone else that they're going to drop so easily, if that makes sense. And the fact that Razor dropped him last year too, you think that he's going to end up doing it. And Anton Leonard-Brown for Leicester, that's the one that I think should happen. But is it going to? Anton Leonard-Brown, he's had his fair share of injuries as of late. And also, you look through at the last 5 or so games that he's played for the All Blacks, he's got yellow cards in about 3 of them. So eventually, that just kind of can really impact you. But now backline movement for the Canadians again. Or sorry, this time it was actually for the Japanese sector. Kicking it in behind. It'll be an awkward bouncing one. Should be controlled by Peter Nelson, but took a little while to get back up to his feet. Japan looking for the steal and the breakdown. It is just available for Jason Higgins. Oh, in fact, they're going to go back for a penalty now in favour of Canada. If not Narawa, maybe Sivu. Says it's Razor there. And do you know the players' names off by heart, or do you have a list in front of you like the commentators? Normally, it's just off by heart. For these sides, I've got about, I'd say, 4 names on a list of the guys that I wasn't too sure about, in terms of whether that's pronunciation or just in general. But, yeah, I normally try and avoid the full team lists, just because or else I find myself kind of looking at it the whole time rather than the game, if that makes sense. But most of these guys, outside of course, the Canadian fellas who this is the first time we've covered a game for them, like most of them I know pretty much off by heart. We have got there on a scale of 1 to 10. How much did you miss me? Well, you've been away maybe a week, if that. So I'd say about a solid 6, you know. Now, that one's going to go into touch. Kicked out on the full from Canada. That is a mistake again coming from Peter Nelson, and you can just see the frustration on the face of the Canadian coach, Stephen Meehan. We have got the cool story. We missed you, says Ruth. What do you think about Che Fiaki at 14? I was thinking maybe with him at 14 and Clark at 11. Fix our aerial ball skills. You see, I don't know if Razor would make so many changes, though. That's the tricky part. It's been very conservative. And I think that Caleb Clark is an absolute key. If he's back, and I know that he's playing in the NPC tomorrow, but if he's 100%, like, I'd have him start on the left wing rather than Rico, just because of that aerial ability. Like, you know South Africa's going to go for those contestable kicks. We saw about 8 of them throughout the first half. Oh, that's a big tackle made on Sam Green. Looks like Japan still looking to build here, but they will go back for the initial penalty advantage. Aerial balls, tricky stuff. And our solid World Cup 6, like Butch James says, cool story. And that was 0-2 for Peter Nelson. Just having a little bit of a hesitant start, I would say, to this match here. Canada, they know that Japan are considered as the big favourites and are supposed to win this game by a large margin, but it's just whether or not they can make the right decisions to kind of survive this early onslaught. So I would say if they can do that, they have a pretty decent shot in this game. But for now, Japan will find themselves again in a very good attacking position on the field. Warner Durns heading to New Zealand for next season's Super Rugby, I believe. Is he going Highlanders? Is that where he's ended up? Heading down south to Dunedin. Will be a certain temperature change than what he's having in Japan at the moment for this game, over 30 degrees, believe it or not. I'm a big Canada fan, but not so much of a Peter Nelson fan. See, it's Razor there. Yeah, and that's the thing. Fly half or first 5, depending on where you're from in the world, is such an important role to play. We see Seunson Lee almost break the line there, but he's always setting something up. And I don't think I've seen enough of Nelson, to be fair. Very good tackle made by him there, and he pushes the Japanese player over the touchline. We have Gadao, that's it's that famous Japanese prop who always does the hand gesture before he scrums. Says it's Razor. Yeah, good attack and run initially, and then just getting wrestled out. The tackle of Nelson and Nick Benn. Is Nick Benn a familiar name, or is it just that I'm thinking of someone else? Has Nick Benn played in New Zealand? I'll have a quick look. Nick Benn. Rugby. Where has he played before? Has he been on New Zealand soil? No, he's only played Utah Warriors, Dallas Jackals, Toronto Arrows. He's an Australian rugby player. Australians. Okay. I must have been thinking of another Ben, maybe. I've never heard that name before. Who am I thinking of? Had the last name maybe Ben? Or he might have just looked familiar. And desperate defence. Which doesn't know how, in the early 2000s, South African kids used to say, what kind? when saying hello. Says, cool story, I did not know that, but now Japan through the middle for the defense of the Canadians. Okay, they're going to have a reset here of the scrum. 10 minutes through this contest at the moment. Still the 7-0 in favour of Japan. Now, they will be chasing a bonus point in this match. I don't think they'd settle for much less. Japan took the scrum from the penalty. They think they're South African. Big Canadian scrum. Good stuff, all that. Poutine paying off. Currently territory 79% for Japan in the first 10 minutes of this game. Possession's probably a little bit similar too. We've seen a lot more counter-attacking coming from this Japanese team. They're ready to feed the ball in. And that is a big push again coming from Japan. Going off to the right-hand side. Nice pass to Seun-Sun Lee. Wide cut-out pass, and it should be a try in the corner. No, he's going to be held up. That is sensational work, although was it a high tackle? It's held up as the call. A great defence. I think that was Josiah Mora. Managed to stop him there. Big D says the AI underdog. Oh, the ref's on the field, though. Damon Murphy is staying out there for a little bit longer than you would think, which makes me think they might be checking this one. They're going upstairs. No, in fact, they're going to go back for the early penalty, and Japan are now going to go for the 3 points. Man, this ref, early push. Says the AI underdog pick, and what a tackle. Says Brum Brum is raising Canada defenders like demons. Yeah, they're physical, that is for sure. There's always going to be that little bit of physicality about them, but yeah, that was really well done. I feel like that size discrepancy there actually worked in favour of the Canadians. Thought the Japanese scrum was a little lucky there with a hidden chase. Says Studs race. I think Japan maybe wanted a high tackle call there. If Warner Dearns wants to play for the All Blacks, then he could be paired with Holland. Dearn the stronger runner and Holland the stronger tackler. Just like the Sam Whitelock and Retallick dynamic. That kick has gone straight down the middle. So has he actually said that he wants to play for New Zealand, or is it just that he's playing in New Zealand for the upcoming season? We have there now that now they take the scrum, not SA. Says I lollipop and getting rough out there. Says Roof, but yeah, nice early 10-point lead for the Japanese. Ready to kick this one off. Peter Nelson. It's us back underway down towards the 22. Well controlled. There are a lot of players missing from this Japanese side that we are used to seeing. Back across to the right-hand side. Warner Dearns breaks through. That is a dangerous run. She gets this offload away on the inside. Now, Fujiwara. Oh, it's a drop ball from Tuitama. Gives Canada now the scrum opportunity. This is as far up the field as they have been throughout this whole matchup. My cat loves chocolate. Does it? What type of chocolate? Like dark chocolate, white chocolate, milk chocolate? Because I know dogs definitely shouldn't have chocolate, but I don't think it's the same with cats, is it? Warner, first name David Warner, not quite. But yeah, Warner Dearns. A lot taller than David Warner. There's many other comparisons we could make, but we won't. 13 and a half minutes through. Now scrum feed for the Canadians. Put in by Peter Higgins. Chocolate with nuts and peppermint. Your cat might be a little bit weird, Roof, I'll be honest with you, in the most respectful way. I haven't heard of a cat eating chocolate. Oh, little knock on from Canada, just in the contact there. And the ball slipped through the fingers. Apologising to his teammates with Spencer Jones. And yeah, Hamish, and back watching NPC. We'll stick here for the pet food chat, says Studs Race. So yeah, be sure to provide a couple updates, of course, on that NPC one. So it was 17-21, wasn't it? Scoreline at the moment. Or somewhere around there. Weirdo isn't close. It's crazy. Beautiful. Says Ruth. Now again, another scrum for the Japanese. Now, throughout that Tonga versus Fiji game, we saw a lot of handling errors along the way. I didn't actually look when I was looking at the Canadian weather. What time is it in Canada at this point of the day? Or night? I think it was night when I looked. Tavatavanawa injured, says the reviewer. What has he done to himself? Was that in that NPC game as well? Little kick in behind from Dylan Riley, trying to chase after it, but well covered at the back from Shane O'Leary, who kicks it out on the full again for the Canadians. Unfortunately, they've been hurting themselves in terms of that territory game. Calm before the storm for next week. Says, cool story. Maybe a little, but yeah. I think that this weekend we're focused on just trying to cover all the competitions that, sadly, due to the Rugby Championship, sometimes get left out. 17-21 still, lots of ball movement, says Studs Race. And what's the extent of the Tavatavanawa injury that the reviewer mentioned about? That's a knock-on from Dylan Riley. Fakatava picked the ball up, and he always knew that they were going to be going back for the scrum there. My guava tree looks great, and some strong sunshine for a change, says Ruth. What is a guava? That's like that little... Is it a little green fruit? Maybe? I've never had a guava. This sounds like a random story, but it is actually true. I once helped host a quiz night because my nana asked me to. And as a reward, the kind of club gave me a fruit basket. And there were a couple fruits in there that I had never seen before. And I can't remember the name of it now. But there was one that was like red and kind of looked halfway between a tomato and maybe like a feijoa. And it had like a stick on the end of it. And now I can't remember what its name was. I didn't actually eat that one though, because apparently you've got to like either put some sugar on it or you cook it, maybe. But scrum for the Canadians. There's my story time for the day. I get to watch Chile this afternoon. If South Africa are going to get out of the ball, we need to win this game. Yeah, it is a massively important contest for the side, and we are going to be covering it on the channel. Kind of doing half of Japan versus New Zealand, followed by the full of South Africa versus Italy. Guava's yellow inside and pink with pips and strong taste. I saw Callum Bouchard at the women's rugby game last year in Toronto. He's a big boy, head above everyone else in the crowd. Says it's Razor. Now going off to the left-hand side. Canada, another attacking chance, getting it out to Josiah Mora. Tackled well. I can't remember what a guava is anymore. Says cool story. I searched it up, and the AI overview says that he's expressed a strong interest to play for the All Blacks. It's been a long time dream back in 2022. Well, there you go. And also walked off around 20 minutes, didn't look happy, but hopefully precaution. Well, that's the thing. Was Razor going to play him anyway? And of course, that's not the point. And hopefully he is going to be all right. But by the looks of that last game, they're probably going to go with Tupaia off the bench or Leonard Brown. But I do think you need that Tavatavanawa impact. I have not. I'm not too sure what that one is. Guava is for energy drinks only. One's going to be kicked in Dutch. We have got there, bro, Hamish, you my brother, but Mark iced you on that last debate. He did. How was I supposed to compete with a 50 unbeaten record at Eden Park for the final topic? I was done for from the get-go in that one. But honestly, in my opinion, I thought he got me 4-1, 5-0. I think he was very good with his stats, and the trash talk was on point too. Was it a toffee apple? I had a stick coming out of it. Says Bruce. Not quite. I wish I could remember the name of it. Just because maybe someone would have had one. That's going to be the penalty now going the way of Canada. They are inside of Japan's 22. They could look for the corner here. Some great points there. Tight game. Says the AA underdog. I'm sure it was Tavatavanawa. I thought it was a prop who got injured from Otago. And also Japan 10, Canada doing well. Says Ruth, yeah, it seems like now this is where Canada really have their best chance. They're currently 19 minutes through. I should have taken that quickly, the halfback. Says it's Razor. I'll now throw for Devold Kutsia. This one only 5 meters out. Japan's rolling maul defense is normally pretty solid. But Canada's full pack. Got a bit of solidness about them as well. It's not really moving at the moment. Well defended by Japan. They are just waiting patiently to then offload it out the back. Now given to the backs. Running it straight with Spencer Jones. 10 metres from the try line. Across now to the big man in that number 8 jersey, Awaru. Kutsia is South African, isn't he? I would assume so. With a name like Devold Kutsia, there would definitely be some sort of South African tie in there. Whether that's his mother or his father. Now going off to the right-hand side, Awaru, huge shot on him. Getting driven backwards. What a shot that is from Ben Gunter. Forcing a little bit of extra oomph there too for the Japanese. Now still 5 metres out from the line and another chance to be able to kick for the corner for the Canadians. Fruit like a tomato. I'm going to find out. Yeah. A tamarillo. Has anyone had a tamarillo? Also known as a tree tomato. Anyone had a tamarillo? Because that's what it was. And I still haven't because I wasn't sure what to do with it. I just imagine Patrick Tuipulotu and Shannon Frizzell coming off the bench. Both got experience in knowing how to impact the game. CS 10-2. That one's going to be dragged down just short of the line. The World Kutsia runs out of space. Brilliant defense again from Japan. And that is frustrating if you are Canada. That is now 2 in a row where they've been close to the try line but just haven't been able to get over. Right, they are having the quick water break after the 20 minutes due to the heat that these two sides are playing in. Note to the Tamarillo. Says it's Razor. Yeah, I think they'll be frustrated here. I've got there when I was a kid, we had a tuna tree that was guarded by a rhino. Oh, maybe it's a false memory from too many high tackles at school. That'll be it. A tuna tree would be quite a unique looking thing, I would think. And definitely if a rhino was guarding it. And also, nope, never heard of it. Grapefruit is delish. Says Ruth. Yeah, the big bump off that we're seeing there from Warner Dearns. Have you tried loquats? I haven't. I'm going to Google them now while we've got the drinks break. Is it like a... Oh, they're interesting looking. Those are some big seeds in the middle. What do you do with it? Do you eat the outside? Or do you eat the seeds? What would you do with a loquat, is it? Is Dearns the skipper? I think so. Maybe? I haven't actually... Well, because that's the thing. When it's normally Michael Leach, it's nice and easy, isn't it? I honestly don't really pay attention to who else. I thought maybe Fakatava, but I don't think he's got the captaincy as of yet. We're just seeing their possession and territory, both over the 50% in favour of this Japanese side. 5 defenders beaten to none. And Canada, throughout the first 20 minutes, has only had the 8 carries. So that's not ideal. If you are the Canadians. One moment, we'll go here. We'll go like this. And now about to be a line out here for the Japanese. There you go. That's the fruit that I had that I didn't actually eat. It's kind of like a... Well, I guess the name tree tomato does make sense, although that middle doesn't quite look like a tomato. Nicely taken by Amato Fakatava. And it's going to be a free kick to Canada. Well, they're in a good position on the field here. They just need to turn it into some extra points. A loquat, says Ruth. You put the seeds back into the ground and make yourself more loquats. Loquats, sorry. You're streaming the Shield Challenge tomorrow. I am hoping to. I messaged George as well, and he said maybe in terms of being able to come round for it. So it will either be just me by myself or George will be joining me on that stream as well. Driving needs to shift, says the AI. And also we have got the Asafo Moa, Ofa Toinga Fasi, Pasilio Tosi, Patrick Tuipulotu, Shannon Frizzell, and Whainanuku off the bench. Samoan Bomb Squad, CS 10-2. And also Japan never quite kicked off after their last win against Ireland in 2019. But they are still good. Yeah, like they're a good enough side to beat some of the top teams around the world. I think that Eddie Jones is also really focused on getting the next generation of Japanese players going. Now, again, trying to get that rolling maul moving forward, the World Kutsia. But again, it's just so well defended by the Japanese. That is close to the try line. Where is the ball? That was on the ground there, and the try is good for Canada. Just a little bit of a positional switch there. It was in the hands of Kutsia, then it went to Perry, and he went over the line. Now Canada back in this game. $12 underdogs. But we are far from this one being over. Somehow Japanese being stopped from getting momentum here, says Ruth. It just seems like Canada, give them some possession, and they can make a bit of an impact. I want to see this ball transfer here. Yeah, it just ends up out the side, because originally it was Kutsia off the back. And good stuff, Canada, oh Canada, our home and native land. Says it's Razor. And oh, Canada starting now. Says Ruth. I've never seen loquats sold. Only just eaten them off the tree. So what would you say is the closest fruit to one? Like, in terms of, I guess, taste and texture? I know that some fruits are completely unique. That kick has gone over from Canada. This game now sitting 10 points to 7 after the 24 minutes. Be in for quite the close finish in this match if it does continue this way. Apricot. Interesting. So it's like an apricot except like triple the seeds in the middle. And maybe a little bit like an apricot, says I lollipop. Is it sweeter than an apricot? I don't mind an apricot as well as it's like quite sweet. And Canada winning should be unacceptable nowadays for Japan. Says cool story. Well, they are still down by the 3 points at the moment, but it looks like Japan will look to fire straight back ball on the outside. Little chip and chase attempted by the Japanese winger. Did he get a hand to it? It looks like they're going to say play on, which means this is a very good chance for the Japanese. They will be just 1 meter short in the offside advantage in their favour. Back across Shiwakawa. Or Fujiwara, in fact, it was. Now cross kick, steep bounce. It's going to be claimed by Canada, and they will go back now for the original penalty. Depends on how ripe it is. And Desmond Otago challenging Tonga for most handling errors. Yeah, that was not ideal for the Tongans. I believe 18 throughout that match. That Japanese winger is rapid, and he looks like he's got some good skills as well when it comes to the little chips in behind and just aggression to try and get that ball back. We have got their loquats are unique, says Bruce. And apricots and strawberry jam, says Ruth. And that 9 walking in mud, says the AI. I did see that someone, when they tried to defend on the goal line for the Canadians, dug their boot almost under the turf and kind of took a big chunk out. Some deep breaths being taken at the moment by this Japanese forward pack. It's been a high tempo. You would think that Canada would be the team slowing down the most, but like I said, they played last week. They probably feel a little bit more match ready. So Springboks playing against Japan. They are later on in the year. Nicely taken by Canada, though. Off the line out. Good neck strength there from Spencer Jones. Which might sound like a weird thing to say, but pretty much what happened is he was getting tackled and he pretty much just tensed his neck so that he didn't get whiplash by hitting his head on the ground. He had both of his arms tied up. So it's actually a lot harder to do than you would think. When you've got players driving you into the turf, to be able to not accidentally slam your head back. It's very well done. We have got the Otago update. Bauer looking strong at the loose head. Says Studs race, so that will make Razor extremely happy. Damn, and he's offside. Says the AI underdog. I don't mind the Highlanders 2026 schedule, but hard that we play the 2 finalists in round 1 and 2. A much closer game than I anticipated. Canada literally lost to Belgium. They did, and they lost to Spain. They were rough in the July internationals, but then they came out up against the USA, and Tyler Ardron just had an absolute field day. And the thing is, he's not even playing in this game. So the fact that 4 of their tries last week are not considered in their starting lineup or reserves, like that's got to be a good sign for the Canadians, doesn't it? But now rolling more chance. Oh, their ball's popped out, and there was maybe a knock on from the Canadians, but now going on the outside, it will be the big man, Kimura. Moving forward, off to the left-hand side. Oh, nice salad, the dummy by Takeuchi. Now Seunsun Lee, little pop pass up again to Fakatava. This is some very nice phase play at the moment from Japan, getting meters every time. Dylan Riley, his hands don't work today. And now counter-attack here for the Canadians, kicking it downfield, looking for the 50-22 for Spencer Jones. Is it going to be, or was it out just beforehand? It looks like they're just getting some ruling here. 17 points to 21 Otago, no change since half-time. And this seems like a good matchup and some thrilling play in short distance near the goal line in this game, says Slarty there. Yeah, these two sides, they have the ability of scoring, but their defence at the moment, I think, is what's keeping this game so close. But, yeah, some rapid players out there. Canada, they'll try and use that physicality just short of getting the 50-22 there. They would have made a massive amount of ground. Do you know much about the repechage tournament? Belgium and Namibia featuring. Who do you reckon qualifies for the World Cup? See, I think Namibia should, but it's very hard to tell because, beautiful. Take that from O'Leary, the experienced veteran from 2019. He's hanging on and continuing to play great counter-ruck from Seunson Lee, but he's given away a penalty advantage in the process. Now Canada, sitting only about 12 metres out from their line, to find a loquat on a tree that a bird hasn't picked, and good actor too. Says the AI in there, and this will go back now for the Canadian penalty. This could be 3 points to level this game, or you go big or go home. And Japan is a favourite of mine to watch. Fast, creative, and precise. Yeah, they've just got such a wide talent pool. And when you look through at the guys who aren't playing in this game, that Japan do have up their sleeve to be able to use, they've got such a dangerous side. And you just think with a little bit of consistency, they could be a really strong team in the world of rugby, or even stronger than they already are. I don't think many sides feel safe playing Japan because of that counter-attack and play. And drive and pressure, says the AI underdog pick. But that was a heck of a break from the number 15. Canada's backs are just a bit tad slow. They've got a lot of size to them, which might be where that kind of size to speed ratio is a bit off compared to Japan. They have gone for the power aspect. It's working all right at the moment at times. But they are going to take on the 3 points here, Canada. And after 30 minutes, this game's going to be sitting 10-all. As well and truly up for grabs here between these two sides. Now, Japan have not played a game of the Pacific Nations Cup, whereas Canada have. So if the Canadians can get themselves a win here, they will qualify for the semi-finals as the top-ranked team. And get it, Peter Nelson. Says vroom vroom. And Canada, good kicker. He's done well so far, 2 from 2. So he hasn't made kind of too many major errors as of yet. Not with the kicking tee, anyway. We have got there, who do you want to see in the All Blacks ball for the 2027 World Cup? I'll be honest, I don't mind. I think that we're at that stage how so many sides are competitive. Now, I do think that New Zealand, when you look at the rankings, they'd like to avoid Argentina, they'd like to avoid Australia in their group. Those are the two most likely. Yellow card here coming for the Japanese. Clearly round the side, Waisaki Rara Tabua. He will make his way off now for the next 10 minutes. A backline of Colby's or a backline of Lomu's. Says, cool story. It depends on the game, doesn't it? Depends on your opposition, but I would say a combination of both would be ideal, of course. We have there Dan Carter, says Ruth, and USA, Canada, Samoa, and Chile. Says Rum. In there too. And Canada could actually win this game. I see them coming back strong second half. Japan haven't quite found their stride, have they? They've had more possession, more territory. And yellow naughty 10 minutes. They've also now had more yellow cards. About 31 minutes into the game. Line out throw here. Nicely taken by Canada, and Kutsia gets another one right. Little short ball popping up for the Canadians, finding the hands of Matt Owaru. Little chip in behind, but Japan ready for it. Just a bit too deep on that kick downfield. Being told to use it again here for Japan. Still got 9 minutes remaining of that yellow card. So pretty much start of the second half is when we will see the player return. Means that Japan do have one less lock for the next 9 minutes. And says the AI. And also our backline of Colby's in 2025. Backline of Lomu's in the 90s. Probably a fair shout. Going up for that ball. And that should be a penalty to Canada. I don't think there was much of a contest coming in from Japan. Ended up overrunning it there for Tuitama. Our locking depth is actually really good right now. Josh Lord, Fabian Holland, Sam Derry. We have got there Fiti Sa and possibly Warner Derns, all of them under 25. Says Tanner. You see that the benefit that they've got at the moment is there was always going to be that concern with Retallick and Whitelock. Like, I do think that Fabian Holland came at the perfect time for New Zealand because it's also given Tupavai a chance to play in the number 6 jersey, which seems to be working not too badly. I don't know how much longer they're going to be doing it, mainly because maybe they look at either a Simon Parker or Wallace Satiti in that 6 jersey. Oh, thrown in. That one was not very straight, but no contest in the air from the Japanese, so it will be play on. 7.5 minutes remaining. Once again, the rolling maul starting to move just that little bit more. Breaking off the back, Warner Derns manages to slam him down. Ball pops out again, so ball security in the breakdown for Canada at times has been a little bit shaky. That can be understandable, though, with the amount of Japanese players who throw themselves in there, try and get that steal. Now back into the pocket. Looks like they will send this one high. Up into the sky, down towards the 22. It's going to be a nice aerial challenge from both sides. Cleaned up by Josiah Mora. And Springboks win against the All Blacks all 2 games. Says Moha then. Now O'Leary. On the halfway line, looking for the kick in behind again. And advantage is over. That's a nice kick. Goes just about into touch, but Tuitama controls. Otago got another 3. Pledger at halfback and Bell at hooker going well. Said studs race, but now counter-attack here for the Canadians. They just don't want to stop in terms of that attack, because the thing is, after 20 minutes, they did not have more than, I think it was 10 carries throughout that one. So they are sitting now in a position where they just want as many touches of the ball as they can get. It's going to be a good clearing kick. He's a 6'8" Samoan guy. I think 22 years old as well. I think he just started his NPC season this year. And also we have got there who's coach for Canada. Oh, I said his name earlier on. Is it Meehan? Someone Meehan is the head coach of Canada. And Border mate says Fleishan. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Nice attack and run from the Canadians again. Fleishan, you are probably a good person to ask as well. Are we going to have any Women's World Cup upsets for today? You know, there is Canada. They are going head-to-head with someone in only about 3 hours' time, I believe, or in fact 2 hours 20. They will be going up against the Welsh. Is there an upset on the cards there? Fiji, Scotland, USA, Australia, Ireland, Spain, I know is one that you mentioned about a little while ago. But I hope there's one upset just to see some sort of curveball thrown for this Women's World Cup. And this Canada side looking strong, says Tommy. Aloma is still the greatest, I say, as a South African. Check you later. Says, cool story. No chance, says Fleishan. So every favourite get in the win. You might be right. We have got the Women's Rugby World Cup. Australia or USA Oz should be good. It should be, and I'm slightly sad that that is the 3rd game in a row, because I've got Scotland, Fiji, as well as England, Samoa, both scheduled on the channel. But I want to do that USA Australia game, but I also want to do the Ranfurly Shield, which takes place in the afternoon for New Zealand time. So it's a bit of a tricky one to try and balance. It's Fiji, a Tier 1 nation. Says Tommy, that was asked about earlier on. I kind of said that I had no idea, because you know, I look at where they are on the rankings and say they're certainly competitive, but I don't know what that kind of falls into for Tier 1 and 2. Someone mentioned about Wales being Tier 1 even though they had 18 losses in a row. So, you know, I think it's all very much so just depending on what you feel does qualify them. I think there's some sort of reasoning behind who can be Tier 1. I think Fiji is a Tier 1 nation now, says it's Razor. He's 125 kgs too. How are you doing the Curry Cup today? We are going to be giving updates of the Curry Cup throughout those 2 Women's World Cup contests. That's going to be another knock-on from Japan. But yeah, that Lions-Bulls game will be happening at the same time as Scotland versus Fiji. So we'll be doing a little bit of the co-commentary on that one. And then also England versus Samoa takes place at the same time as the 2 later games. So we'll be doing that same kind of concept there. I reckon so many of the top teams have money. I reckon so. The top teams have money. The lesser teams are basically park teams. Yeah, and we mentioned about that in round number 1. You can really tell from the way that teams play who's got the funding and who doesn't. And, you know, there is a big difference between them. Japan should have had 4 tries already. And Slatty said yes. Who's the heavier pack today, says Ruth. I think Canada might be, to be honest. I know that Japan's got a few big boys in there, but Canada's loose forward trio certainly packs a little bit of a punch. That's not saying that Japan's doesn't. I mean, they've got Shimokawa, Fakatava, and also Gunta. Who's the tallest Japanese player out there? I would say that's Warner Dearns, although he's currently on his knees for the scrum. And when he stands up straight, he is very tall. Never seen that pick up again from the tight head prop. And it looks like Canada is more effective in mauls, says Slatty there. And that's going to be a free kick now going the way of Japan. Canada did have themselves the scrum feed, so that will be one that they couldn't really afford to get wrong. Definitely now with them getting close to the try line, Japan. Takeuchi with the run. Warner turns over the try line through the post, and that is what happens when you get a scrum wrong. When Eddie Jones move over to coach Japan women, or will Eddie Jones? Not 100% sure. I think he's happy enough with this Japanese men's side for now, but it could be an option in the future. I like the look of Jamie Hanna. I think he is one for the future. Says it's Razor. And also, yeah, we've got Jamie Hanna and Zach Gallagher, both under 24 years old. They're only 6'6" and 6'7", though, says Tanner. Fiji locks forwards. Ain't that tall, says Tommy there. That is a great try being scored by Warner Dearns. And come on, Peter Nelson, you should have been able to stop Warner there. But to be fair to him, and in defence of him, the scrum should have been able to happen. You know, just an early push coming from the Canadians, which has really hurt them. And sorry, mate, I fell asleep on the couch. I missed the last game, says Robert. That is no worries. I won't give you a spoiler of what the score was, but this game a little bit closer for now. 17 points to 10. With just the 1 minute remaining in this first half. And after the 27 World Cup, says Vroom Vroom. Is it true Rusty is leaving the Springboks? Yeah, because I know that he wanted to lock in till about 2031. But I don't think the Springboks wanted to lock him in for that long. So it's a bit of an interesting one. But, you know, if they don't lock him in, someone else around the world will try and get Rassi. But now, Amato Fakatava, good attack and run again. And thanks, I go back and watch, says Robert. Just the 1 minute remaining of that Japanese yellow card. Yeah, I'm just poking fun at Peter Nelson. I know it's not his fault, but he's fun to pick on, says Razor. Now kicked high by Fujiwara. Down towards the halfway line. Nicely taken under the high ball for Shane O'Leary. He's a good coach, says Mohadin. Now 20 seconds remaining in the half. There was a little knock on, though. It means that Japan will get themselves the last chance. The first period of the game. There's so many options. It'll come down to who's the most consistent performer, though. And currently Holland is at the top of form. And Razor always said he wanted to win the World Cup with two teams. Maybe we head to the Springboks after 2027. Maybe. And surely Plumtree could coach the Box, says Studs Race, and quality player Pakatava, and also Targo lead 24 points to 17 with 10 minutes to play. So a pretty low scoring second half between those two sides by the sounds of it. Just the one try for Otago. In fact, no, that would just be the one conversion for Otago, wouldn't it? Or, sorry, penalty. Peter Nelson to coach the Box. Says it's Razor, but 45 metres out from the line now, Japan. Doesn't look like they're going to try and kick this one into touch. Instead, Seunsun Lee will run this one for Canada, though, onto the ball, and they've given away the penalty for offside. Any news? Oh, we'll come back to that in a very short moment as they are only 15 metres out from the line now. Canada looking for the steal again. Fujiwara goes across to Warner Dearns, who is the skipper and also a try scorer in this contest. Now passed across to the right-hand side. And that one will be stripped away. Canada trying to control the ball. This will be play on. Oh no, there is the knock on. So it's going to be half-time, hard day at work. Play with concrete, not my real cup of tea. Was there from Robert. And hi Hamish, I'm back. What did I miss? Says Ilaria. Welcome back. Hope you're doing extremely well. So far, it's been a hectic first half. Canada are a lot closer in this game than a lot of people anticipated. I prefer Matsushima at fullback for Japan, says Tommy. Matsushima is an insane talent. Like, I know that Eddie Jones is trying to build that a little bit more depth and whatnot, But, there are some very good players who aren't playing. And this match score now says Mohadin's score at the moment is 17 points to 10. And Dylan Pledger is making the All Blacks one day. So here's Highlanders fan. And big defence from Otago. Tasman backline distribution. And getting put under pressure. Set starts raise. And we have got there saying Highlanders lead at first hurt me. I didn't see as much lead, or seeing as we didn't lead much this season. If Razor leaves after 2027, then Jamie Joseph has got to be our coach. And Rassi can come and be a director of rugby in Wales. He likes a challenge. And any news on who's in line for that coach role for the Box? Not really at the moment. The thing is, there are the rumours going around, but the reality is, I think that South Africa would be a little bit silly to not sign Rassi back again. But at the same time, maybe they're going, look, it is very expensive to have Rassi as the coach, but then saying that, having World Cups in the cabinet is a pretty nice feeling too. Sub says Kiwi. And also we have got the Hamish, I'm back. What did I miss? Says Laria again. You missed my first time that I responded. But no, so 2 tries from the Japanese, 1 try from Canada. A yellow card for Japan has almost expired. Bringing Fozzie as assistant uncle coach. We'll have the Avengers and 24 all set studs raised there. Oh, so Tasman getting a little bit of a late fight back perhaps. Have any other big international teams ever sacked their coach? I mean, there's been sackings before. But, that's the thing. Sometimes it's mutual as well, though. So that makes it a little bit tricky. Hi, says Kiwi. Welcome in again. And we have got there, Thud's Good Games, says the AI Underdog. You see, a few of those NPC games do go right down to the wire. New Zealand Woolworths has Tin Guavas, FYI. Well, there you go. And I remember watching Japan 7 years ago. They had a bunch of short round players that run crazy fast, says Slarty. Yeah, they are a side that have evolved quite a bit throughout the last recent times. I do think that selection-wise, this game, they probably thought it would be easier than it has been. NPC criminally underrated. Yeah, the amount of close games that you get in the NPC is actually really impressive. I think it's just the fact that there's so many games over a weekend that some people decide not to bother watching it, which sounds rough because, if you have a certain team that you like watching, you could just watch their game each week rather than all of them. It's a 3-day Labour weekend or weekend Labour Day. And also we got there bring in Percy Montgomery, says Ruth. And there as well. But yeah, second half will be very intriguing. Both of these sides sitting pretty close in terms of the points. This is the game that is coming up next week. That one will be USA. Oh, in fact, it's this side, isn't it? I've realised that my camera is always mimicked now. But USA versus Japan. That is going to be taking place at 1:05 p.m. New Zealand time on Sunday next week. I am hoping to be able to cover that one on the channel. Of course, by that stage, we will know what happened in that round of the Rugby Championship. Know whether or not the streak is still alive or whether the Box were able to claim that one. And then also Argentina versus Australia taking place the day before, as well as Samoa versus Fiji. But that overlaps with Argentina and Australia. So I'm not sure who was in charge of the scheduling, but it's very annoying. That is how it sits. Japan and Canada, the benches for this game. I do think I'd give the advantage just a little bit in favour of the Japanese, but it's all about when they decide to use these subs in this contest. It is a hot day. Sitting over the 30 degrees in Japan for this contest. So I do think that it's thoroughly important they don't go too early. Our Sam Green going, please, says Cindy Barker. At this stage, see, I would say he hasn't been too bad. He hasn't actually had a huge amount to do. Originally, I think he was supposed to be playing out on the wing, but a late change has put him into the fullback jersey, so he's done a little bit of kicking. He's had, I think I can remember, one decent run. In fact, I will give you his exact stats. I've just remembered I can do that. 1 second. We'll go like this, and we will give you some Sam Green stats. So at the moment, for Sam Green, where is he? He there we go. Meters carried for Sam Green. He has had 7 meters carried, so he really hasn't touched the ball that much throughout the early stages. Sam Green, he's had 3 touches of the ball. Defenders beaten, has he? No, hasn't. Oh no, bet 1 defender. And then in terms of tackles made, he missed 1, but he also has managed to make a total of... He may not have made a single tackle in that first half, according to that statistic. So if he gets the ball a bit more in the second half, I think that we'll see a little bit more oomph coming from the back. And I mentioned Blackadder was replaced at halftime. Unsure if it's his ankle, leg, arm, wrist, shoulder, neck, rib, hamstring. With Ethan Blackadder, it could be all of them. We have got there Tasman 24-24 at the 76th minute, and Yo Samoa, Tonga going up to the 60 minute is a big shift, says the AI. And how many tackles has Peter Nelson made? One moment. I can tell you how many tackles he's missed, which is surprisingly 0. There you go. And he has made a total of 2 tackles. So busy. How warm is it there? In the game for Japan versus Canada, it is about 32 degrees, I believe it was. If you're talking about where it is for me, it's 8 degrees Celsius, kind of a nicer evening than we've been having as of late. However, I missed you answering my question because I had an ad the first time, sorry. Says it is completely fine. And Otago has a solid era, or was a solid era. And also, woo, it's going to be a hectic weekend. And also, he's having the best game of his career tonight. And thanks, Hamish, he usually plays 11s. Yeah, he usually plays 11. He's actually my godson. I'm watching you while on a train in Italy. Appreciate the updates here, Cindy Barker. No worries at all. So yeah, it's probably the first time someone's watched us on a train in Italy, I would say. But yeah, I do agree that when he's out on the wing, I actually think that he normally is more dangerous. Definitely because Japan have targeted going to their right wing quite a bit. So he would have probably touched the ball about 6 or 7 times had he got that start out there. But due to the late changes, it put him into the fullback role. And yeah, he hasn't done anything like wrong, I wouldn't say, throughout this one. There was a missed tackle, but that happens, you know. Plus, we just haven't seen many meters made for either of these sides in the contest. We have got there how many yards had Warner carried the ball, Hamish. So I can't tell you how many yards, but I can tell you how many meters carried for Warner Dearns at the moment. Dearns has carried the ball 17 meters. Leading in that department is actually Ashida. And then Takeuchi, believe it or not, is sitting in second with the meters. Why do you always have 2 pictures in the background? It's just the way that the editing software is. It doesn't actually let me link up completely with that side. So that's the main reasoning for it. And also because my green screen isn't really wide enough to be able to have it right across. Like sometimes there'll be little corners that look a bit weird. I've got the haha from Cindy for the in the presence of greatness. And 27-24. For the Otago side, I've never actually noticed that before. Now I won't be able to unsee it, says Vroom Vroom. It's just watchable anywhere, even in the shower. Oh, hope your phone's waterproof. Or maybe you got one of those, you know, those speakers that you can stick to the wall of your shower? Do people actually have those, or are they just kind of novelty? I was going to ask what like people do in the shower, but that sounds a bit weird. But more so, like, do you guys listen to music in that regard? I know some people sing, but I don't know. It'd be tricky. You'd be worried that that speaker would fall down at some point. Smack onto your toe. That would be a bad day. And a meter, 17 meters. And Thudstein says the AI underdog pick. And also we have got there about that score. There must only be about 1 minute remaining, is there, in that NPC matchup. I see that Otago are favourites at the moment, as they should be with the remaining time. In fact, while we're at half-time, we might as well have a quick look. Seeing as we have the ability to be able to do that, I can click a couple buttons. Waterproof. Yeah, they're really real. Yeah, so just the 1 minute remaining. Tasman look like they are kicking this one for the corner here, so they are opting to not go for the 3. And that is a brilliant kick from William Harvilli, only 5 metres out from the line. I watched in the show. How about that? Says Bruce. We have got there 24-27. 80th minute, Tasman is in the 22-metre line, says Tanner. And now they're about 10 metres out with a rolling maul chance. 90-second penalty to Tasman, kick into the corner. I built a shelf in my shower that I could use it while showering. Music is a big yes when showering, unless I have roommates. Then I try not to. Yeah, see, I think I've only tried to listen to music once in the shower. But I couldn't really hear it because of the noise of the shower. So I guess maybe I didn't have it loud enough. Now rolling maul here for Tasman while we're at halftime in this Japan versus Canada match. I think the Marcos might steal this at the very last moment. It's after the 80-minute mark. It goes over the line and Tasman win it in the final moment. Did we just jinx Otago or did we help Tasman? That is probably the big question there. But now we will go back to this Japan versus Canada game, as it should be almost into the second half. I'm a top 15 fan, Hamish. Says Ailaria there. I think someone wants you to be the only fan, says Robert V. And also, holy cheeks, Tasman won the game. Yeah, my ghetto blaster loud from the lounge. That's a trap with music in the shower. It is too quiet when you're in there, so you have to play it louder, except that if it's 3 times louder for people outside the shower, then you inside it. Yeah. Maybe headphones for the shower. Is that a thing? I don't know how you do it. It seems like it would be very dangerous. Check on the Tasman try, just kidding. Says Studs Race. I leave my phone on my toothbrush holder and listen. Says Fleshin. I guess that probably works. I've always wondered how loud one of those speakers can go. But then you wouldn't need it that loud, I wouldn't think. There's just too many fans now. He's popular, says Ruth. And blame this. I should have put the bet on for last try wins, says the AI there. Yeah, I do think there's still plenty to go in this game too, though. In terms of if Canada can strike first in the second half, now Japan should be back to their full 15 on the park. But I don't know. One quick try from Canada, and it is all on. They are so loud, they can literally shake a room, says it's Razor. And Tasman stole it. Another great game. Big defence from both teams, says Studs Race. Yeah, it will be a disappointing one for Otago. Northland having a close game with Hawke's Bay as well. I want to see what the table sits like at the moment. So Counties and North Harbour both struggling. Same with Auckland. Wellington. I wouldn't have expected Wellington to do too badly, although saying that with no Duplessis Karefi, no Peter Larkai, it's probably more understandable. No Ruben Love as well. No Kyle Preston at times. So actually, no, that's probably fair. Southland, I kind of want to see them do well up against Waikato in that Ranfurly Shield Challenge tomorrow. When do Wellington play? I want to see Asafa Moore play. He is playing, I believe, tomorrow. In 2:05, I think, is when that one is going to be happening. Wellington versus Auckland. Yeah, he is the starting number 2. Xavier Numia starting at 1. Peter Larkai starting 7. Preston's at 9. And then also Ruben Love as the starting number 15. We have got there PUJ. Is also leaving the Lions soon, right? Says Vroom Vroom, yeah, he is heading to Japan for Peter Umanga Jensen. All 3 Auckland-based teams are winless. Yeah, that's not a good stat, is it? At all, really. But they will have Caleb Clark back. So I don't know whether or not I'll do the commentary for that game, but I'll definitely be watching it closely because there's a lot of All Blacks out there on the park for that game. And if Caleb Clark goes well, I'm sticking him straight back in the starting lineup for the All Blacks. 2 biggest city teams are all down the bottom. Says NZ Riot. And we have that come on Wellington, says Ilaria. And it's crazy that we'll probably have to debut Kyle Preston against the Box at Eden Park. That's the biggest debut. The pressure is insane. Says Tanner. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the Ratama injury in terms of how serious it is, whether or not he's going to even be available. But the fact that the halfbacks for New Zealand could be Finlay Christie, who's only played 62 minutes for the All Blacks throughout this year, and Kyle Preston, who hasn't had a single minute out there on the field, like that is a bit of a concern, I would think. I think Miracle should switch his allegiance to New Zealand. It could be a pretty nice impact Lucy to have, says it's Razor. I'm thinking of going to the Wellington-Auckland tomorrow, where the dependence says Studs Race. We do see now that Japan will be back to the 15 men after that yellow card period has concluded. And the two biggest city teams are all down the bottom. Canada will be kicking this one off. Preston will probably come on for the last 5 of the game. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Says it's Razor. Well, it's more so if there's an early injury. Although, to be fair, there was an early injury in the first Crusaders game, and he managed to get himself a hat-trick, didn't he? We've got there Albert has said hello, champ. Welcome in. I hope you're doing extremely well. If you are excited for the rest of the Pacific Nations Cup, at the moment it seems pretty competitive in terms of some of these games that we have seen on Pool B's side of the draw. Canada doing a lot better than most people did anticipate. They've still got a decent attacking chance here. About 38 metres out from the line-out throw for DeWalt Goods here. What next game are you covering, please, says Albert? For the Pacific Nations Cup or in general, Albert? So Pacific Nations Cup is a bit tricky because next week, Samoa versus Fiji actually overlaps with the Argentina-Australia game. But if we're talking about this weekend, the next game that I am doing is in around just under 5 hours' time. And that will be Scotland versus Fiji in the Women's World Cup. And then also after that, England versus Samoa in the Women's World Cup as well. Tomorrow afternoon, I've got the Ranfurly Shield game between Waikato and also Southland. And then after that, tomorrow night, there will be New Zealand taking on Japan. And then also South Africa taking on Italy. So plenty that is coming up on the channel. Can Finley Christie last the full 75 minutes? Seems like a pretty big task. It all depends on injury, to be fair. Like, I do think if we see him avoid an injury, I'd say he can play 75. And that might get to a point now, if he finds his rhythm, they may not want to take him off. As in Auckland or Wellington or somewhere else. So it is being played in Porirua for that Wellington versus Auckland game. That's going to be nicely taken. Now off to the right-hand side, Canada on the halfway line. We mentioned Dylan Riley's name a few times today, but not too many for good things. But there was a good tackle coming in there. Nicely taken under the high ball for Japan. Wrestled down by Josiah Mora. And not a good kick, Peter Nelson. And also over there, Porirua Wellington. Says it's Razor. There as well. And tomorrow, Wellington host Auckland. They certainly do. That will be a great game. Like I mentioned, the All Blacks playing in that game. We see Ruben Love, Safwa Moore, who could find himself in the ABs in the near future. Definitely because when the All Blacks were listing players who were taking part in the games of the round, they did list a Safwa Moore as an All Black who was playing. But you've also got then Caleb Clark. He's going to be playing. Oh, not quite taken cleanly for Canada. Katava gives it off to Sionson Lee. Some nice stepping from the elusive first 5. I think Asafa was already in, to be honest. Says Rum. Yeah, I think McAllister sadly is going to end up missing. Porirua is 20 kilometres north of Wellington City. I could go to that, says Ilaria. And also do it, says Satsray and also Razor. And yeah, exactly. He was included in the injury list, so I assume he is already in the squad. And they will drop Brody. And it seems like at the moment, Brody McAllister is only going to get one match. And then a try on debut, and now he's gone. I might see you there. See Studs Race currently. Just showing the kicks from this game. Peter Nelson has done 5. Sionson Lee has done 2, but he has had much more in terms of carries throughout this game. Sionson Lee looking dangerous. That ball in hand. Banana kick there from Nelson. That means that Canada have got themselves another attacking chance. TAB just closed betting on Japan. Yes, I assume Japan have this season right. There is also the chance that there could be the suspension because of something big coming up. And McAllister will get the Henry or the George Bell treatment. Says it's Razor. Yeah, probably, unfortunately, like it does suck for them. Like I wanted to see Brody McAllister get 2 or 3 games throughout this rugby championship just to see where he was compared to a Safwa Moore. But by the looks of it, he might get 1 game. And that might be after New Zealand win the first of the bladder. So that one's going to be knocked on. Now taken by Japan. Amato Fakatava moves up to 25 out. That's a good kick downfield from Sionson Lee. And name the watch for Odin Rain, sorry. Hooker from Tasman, seen him in the under-20s. Definitely going good in the NPC. He had that crucial turnover, didn't he? In the game up against the French, I believe it was, the semi-final of the under-20s competition, how New Zealand were under all sorts of pressure. They had a couple men down, and then it was the turnover from him only about 5 metres out from his own line that completely changed the momentum of their game. I heard Razor in an interview say Brodie is one of the best scrummagers in New Zealand. So he obviously doesn't want to use him, though. Unless, of course, it's more of the long-term plan. Once Cody Taylor goes, oh, that's a rough landing for the Japanese 14. It's a Shida. He's been one of the busier players for Japan throughout this match. I like the look of Lewis Bush from the Wairarapa game earlier today against Mid-Canterbury. He's got a bit of rigour about him. He booked seats for the Wellington versus Auckland match. I assume it would be on Ticketek, maybe? Looks like a couple changes about to be made. Malo Tuitama makes his way off 46 minutes through. This game's still close enough that either side can get it, which I think is going to be, hopefully, an enthralling finish. Ball in the hands of Canada. Japan just making a few too many mistakes here. They sell the best twirly cone ice cream. Up the road, going to get one after this game, says Ruth. No idea, I was just going to rock up and buy a ticket at the gate. Says Studs Ray, and that will be another penalty for Canada at scrum time. I heard Australia got robbed. I can't believe I missed that, says the AI underdog. Heard Australia got robbed. Which game are we talking? The AI underdog. Goodbye, Hamish. I'll be back I will go book some tickets. Be back soon. Says Alaria. I'm pretty sure you can even show up and buy a ticket. Says it's Razor there too. Yeah, just playing the ball. The hands of the halfback. And okay, says Alaria. And also we have got there, Lowell Hamish. I heard Australia got robbed. That still confused me. Even now, it looks like a couple more changes being made. Oh, I think that maybe the Japanese 21 just may have tweaked his leg as he was running out onto the field. He looked like he made a bit of a face, so he was making his way out there, but that is Fukuda. When does any Oz team not get robbed these days, says Studs Race. They have been told to use it once. I'm trying to get this rolling ball moving forward off to the right-hand side. Another step from Spencer Jones. At the moment, Japan have got themselves the 2 tries. Canada just the 1. They get themselves the 4 tries. They will get themselves a bonus point from this game, but it's another knock on from the Canadians. Now, Dylan Riley, he's having an awful game. I don't think I've seen him actually catch the ball as of yet. He's kind of looking like Rieko Ioane from last weekend. Too harsh, probably. We have the tickets. Says it's Razor. And Hamish, you're looking absolutely fantastic. Please, folks, hit the likes button and subscribe to the Kiwi Lads Awesome Commentary. Says Ruth there. Here we have got plenty more coming up later on tonight. We have got the 2 games of the Women's World Cup, Scotland versus Fiji, alongside England versus Samoa. So 2 games to definitely keep an eye on their territory percentage at the moment. Canada have had 48%. So that number's gone back to close to 50-50 this current point in time. I'm trying to work out what the crowd are chanting, but I can't quite work it out. I think it is for Japan, though. And Dylan Riley cannot handle the defensive pressure of Peter. Says it's Razor. That's going to be a free kick, in fact, turned into a penalty. Favour of Japan, and they will kick this one towards the sideline again. Let's go, boys. Cheetahs look like bunny rabbits yesterday, says Ruth. There's been some big upsets in the Curry Cup. And Griquas look pretty lethal. And they've been a well-oiled machine for a little while. The Greek was definitely for this season. They seem to be getting it right more times than not. This game is way, way closer than I thought it would be. I thought Japan were going to put 40 on them. And I'll be honest, I thought Japan I was thinking 15 to 20 was my kind of margin. Just because I felt like, because Canada had played last week, I thought that might help them out. A little bit similar to what we saw for Tonga in their start up against the Fijians. So I actually thought Canada may score the first try, although that did not happen. We saw the early one coming from Japan. And Go Japan says, right. When do rugby players retire? What age? Normally somewhere between, depending on your position, I'd say between 33 and 40. Somewhere around there is the most common. Like, if you're playing international rugby at 38, you've done pretty well. So probably even between 33 and 38 is about your window that we see guys hanging up the boots. Japan 40 metres out from their line. Another big scrum. It's going sideways. Nicely picked up the back from Amato Pakatava. Now Fukuda going with a nice step. Amato Pakatava got it again. Another knock on. This time coming from Gunter. And it means now the ball on the halfway line is in the hands of the Canadians. Under 56.5 total combined. Tricky one. Like, at this stage it looks that way, but there's also a chance that both sides kind of speed up at the end. Agreed, could be rust, but a game I look forward to the most this week. Says the AI underdog. And 35 tends to be the age most people call it quits. All Canada. And the breakdown almost managed to get this deal. Now, Seunsun Lee back across to the right-hand side. Dylan Riley, good shot on him. And once again, has knocked the ball on. Now, he's got some bandage around his head. Is he actually, like, concussed or something? Maybe that's why he's having such a hard time. Awkward bouncing ball, Canada. If that ball had missed the fullback for Japan, it could have been lethal and a big opportunity. But now the Japanese 40 metres out from the line. To the left-hand side, Seunsun Lee for another carry from him. Martin time to rotate. Rassi needs to. A run forward from Sam Green. Another step from Fakatava too. And the penalty goes the way of Canada. There's been a lot of times where Japan haven't joined the ruck correctly in this game. This game is starting to drag on. We need some interesting gameplay, says Ailorea. Yeah, at the moment they are just very even, aren't they? Like, both sides have made quite a few handling errors throughout the second half. Struggling to progress anywhere. But I do think if Canada score, that will completely change this game. As then from there we might see a little bit more aggressiveness coming from the Japanese. Canada coach looking nervous here. And shaky shame, says Ruth. And Lee has been handy. Looks like another change is about to be made for the Japanese. The grind catches up with some players faster. How Durant played the way he did for as long as he did, who knows? Says Studs Rays. Yeah, see, some guys just seem to avoid one of those big injuries that can take you out. Like, some guys actually get better as they get older, to be fair. You know, you got... I'm trying to think, like, Alan Wynne-Jones, I think, only really reached his peak once he reached around, like, 30 plus. He was a good player up until then, but it was once he really started getting that veteran status that he seemed to just be such a great leader for that Welsh team. It is interesting that Eddie has had such a little success recently. I thought he would thrive in this Japanese union, but doesn't seem like it at all. I think it's also because he's willing to make so many changes, though. In fact, sometimes you'd say too many changes, because we never really see Japan put out their strongest team. So I don't know whether or not he's saving that for the World Cup, and perhaps that is the long plan for Eddie Jones. He said, look, we're going to lose quite a few games, but we'll be in a good position for that World Cup. Nobody has asked Hamish what the most hungry he's ever been. Most hungry on stream or just in general? And Wallace Satiti could be the next Richie McCaw / Sia Khaleesi. Says Tanner, the biggest concern for him, though, is the amount of injuries he's already picked up for Satiti. And when you're a young player, it just, you know, it can hurt quite a bit. You know, someone like a Sasha Feinberg, Ngame Zulu even is a perfect example. He's had a couple injuries already. Could end up struggling in the future. Eddie looks unhappy. He will be. They're only leading by 7 in a game that probably expected to win quite comfortably. Now, kick downfield, nicely taken at the back for Canada around the halfway line. Now, running this one forward is Nick Ben. Now, Asada, that almost, another drop ball from the Canadians. Now kicked him behind from Fukuda, looking for the 50-22, and he gets it too. Brilliant kick him behind from the Japanese. This may be the big opportunity now to be able to kind of seal some sort of control over this game. Warner Dunes, you can see the communication there with his other forward saying, hold him up. Why is Canada running so high into the contact? How many times do they have to get held up, taken out, or sent backwards before they learn? See, that's Razor come on, beat a bit, get back there. See, there's Razor too. Now off to the right-hand side, the Japanese sitting 10 metres from the try line. Skip pass from Fukuda. Now looping around Seunson Lee. Nicely done by Riley. That may have hit the hand of a Canadian player if it did. Might be the knock on, but going to the short side. Seunson Lee with a ball over the top. Big fin coming in from Sam Green, who all but broke through to score the try. Now 5 metres out from the line here for Japan again. Slinging it across. Seunson Lee linking up nicely. Sam Green gets the offload. Quick hands from Riley. And the try from Mato Fakatava. The Japanese have their third. And Canada, with as much pressure as they were creating, just couldn't finish the job. I think the most hungry I've ever been is when just when I get dizzy from hunger. Now I'm starting to feel like Eddie looked. See, that's Razor there, and what a hit. Yeah, big shot on Sam Green, but well done to get the offload away. That is a assist of the try assist for that man. And Fakatava is a tough man to stop. See, that's Razor, and they actually, in a way, they helped him because they ankle tapped him, so he was sliding low, which gave the last Japanese defender no chance, the last Canadian defender no chance to get under him. You know, he just slid on over like he was a penguin. And now, chance here to line up this kick. We've got there, thought their maple down the left side. I was going to Jackal. Says the AI, but now striking this one, Seunson Lee, straight down the middle. Actually looked like he half-by slipped when he tried to strike that one, but the score will be 24 points to 10 now. And lost that one, says the AI. And also we have got there, yep. That was Peter who gave him the little tap on the ankle, says it's Razor. And Fakatava, boom. See his roof there. A busy day at the moment for the Japanese forward pack. Who's the Japan fullback? Took some shots, but kept the play going well, says Studs Race. So that is Sam Green. Was initially going to be out on the right wing, but ends up in the fullback role for this game instead. Nicely taken by Warner Dunes. Hopefully, we've still got... what a run from Warner Dunes. I was going to say, hopefully we've still got the listener from the Italian train. She will absolutely love to hear that he is doing well. Now I'll kick him behind. This one won't be a 50-22, but it is once again a very nice territory play. Are you covering any of the Women's World Cup? Says Joshua, we are. So we did cover 2 games last week, and this week in about probably 3.5 hours time, I am going to be covering Fiji versus Scotland, followed by England versus Samoa, and then on Monday morning for us here in New Zealand, I'm covering New Zealand, Japan, as well as South Africa versus Italy. So we've got 4 games of the Women's World Cup coming up on the channel for this week. And geez, come on, boys, don't switch off now. An accurate passing. And they run it now, says the AI. Yeah, it seems like that one try is all they needed to just kind of fire up that little bit more. Joshua said awesome stuff. So yeah, hopefully... we do get to see a few of you guys there for those streams. We'll also be given updates of the Carling Curry Cup while those games are taking place. That was an ugly line out for Canada. And just confusion when it came to the set piece. The Wald Kutsia looks absolutely frustrated about that one. If Canada keep this under control, they'll be satisfied. I think if Canada can score 1 try here and get within 7, they will be more than happy. That would mean that there is no chance of catching up. Call of not straight. Okay, Warner Dunes just getting a little bit of tape around his boot. I don't know what size boot that is, but it looks like at least probably a 12, 13 or 14. And cars go around in circles too. I need to choose. Says Studs Race. Cars go round in, or going round in circles too. As in, like where you are? Or just in general? Do you think Japan have a bonus point? They need 1 more try to get one, but, I mean, they're 10 metres out from the line here. It's a good position on the field to have a scrum. So, I think they'll have one in the next kind of 2 minutes or so. A ball fed in. Big push there again from Japan. They'll have themselves the penalty advantage. Fukuda, that was a quick fire duck picked up by Sam Green. Going to be well held on to. That's around his neck. Now Fukuda again. Sorry, F1 on during the rugby tonight. Says Studs Race. I wonder if Isaac's going to be watching that one. Because if he is, we could try and get an update from him at some random hour of the morning. Now passing one more on the outside. Chance out wide. Sam Green scores the try. And Japan get themselves their bonus point. He actually scored it out on the right wing where he was initially going to be starting. But Green crosses the line. And I would say now Japan probably crossed the line of being able to be caught. Interesting fact, Morna Dunes is indeed the captain today, making him the youngest ever Japanese captain at 23. Imagine we got our starting lineup: Williams, Taylor, Lomax, Barrett, Holland, Vai, Satiti, Savi, and Roygaard. That's founding like a world-class lineup. And beautiful try, says the AI there. Yeah, really nicely done on the short side. Now this game's starting to get a little bit more one-sided. Got to remember, at one point in this contest, it was 10 points to 10. From there, it just seems like Japan have been able to get to that next level. And we are seeing Canada slow down a little bit. As Victor Matfield still involved in the Japan coaching. I'm not 100% sure. That one's going to be kicked high from Seonson Lee and just misses it away to the side. So with 20 minutes remaining, the score sits 29 points to 14, but the Japanese have got that bonus point. Who's the youngest player of the Springboks? As in like ever who has played, or the youngest in their current squad? Mohadin. Canada batteries running low. Yeah, I think it's just a fatigue factor. 32 degrees Celsius. They are actually about to have a water break, so that may benefit the Canadians a little bit. I don't think so. He does podcasts with John Kerwin now. Says it's Razor. And 30 is the youngest player, maybe? Yeah, some big collisions. What time New Zealand time is the F1 taking place? Thuds Ray. Probably Sasha at 23. Yeah, be close to the youngest. Who else have they got? How old's Ethan Hooker? He'd be a bit older than 23, wouldn't he? Or maybe not. How old's Ethan Hooker? 22 years old. He would have to be closest to the youngest, wouldn't he? Trying to think of that forward pack in terms of who could sneak in there. Loose forwards, I think they're all older. I think it might be Ethan Hooker. Cameron Honeycomb, he's 23, but he's not in there at this very point in time. They've got a fine mix of 30-year-olds and older, more experienced 33-year-olds, says Tanner too. And also, we don't need that in the top 6 in the Rugby World Cup finals, and practice in 10 minutes, qualifying at 2 a.m. I think race at 1 a.m. Monday, New Zealand time. Says Studs Race. So I have to find out from Isaac whether or not he's watching. I know he was going snowboarding today. Moody is 23. Says I Lollipop. Okay, so still Ethan Hooker then. Unless we can think of anyone who is younger. And hey mate, looking forward to next Saturday, All Blacks versus South Africa. I can't wait. Because I got tickets. First time going to a game against South Africa, says Jacob. So yeah, hopefully you absolutely love it. Eden Park is going to be an atmosphere and a half. Taking it at the back now for Nelson. He will return fire with a kick. Canada need to start getting their hands on the ball. Sam Green having a bit of a fumble of it, but it went backwards. He regathers. No harm done. I'll run there from Gunter. That's what I thought. But I read recently he was helping Eddie Jones. And I see that little car painted up like a New York cop car. And your town is for sale. I see. I don't think I'll buy it. But I think I know what street it's normally on. How old is Murat? Murat is a lot older than 22. So then 50 metres out from the line now. A little bit hesitant to grab at that ball was Jason Higgins. I heard the biggest game of the year. Rematch from the 2023 World Cup final. Yep, confirmed that Ethan Hooker is the youngest. Says it's Razor. I have a crazy idea. What if we had AI as ref and records and analysis the gameplay and make unbiased correct calls without typical ref interpretation? Might be a stupid idea though, says Dylan. It certainly sounds fancy. I'll give you that. The thing is, like, in 10 years' time, that might be what we're looking at. But then the question is, would people still say that the AI is wrong? Would people say, oh, no, a team hacked it so that they could get more calls their way? And I also do think that it would have to be that fine line between stopping every single thing. Because honestly, if you're looking hard enough, every second breakdown has a penalty in it. It's just that a lot of the time they try not to stop the game that often. So, yeah. It's going to be intriguing. I disagree with the 2 World Cup games you are covering because they are both going to be blowouts, but it's your channel, says Kiwi Rob. So you would prefer us to do the blowouts of the Curry Cup instead, Kiwi Rob? Would that make you feel a little bit better? Now, pick and go there. And so far throughout this Women's World Cup, we haven't seen a single game closer than 24 points. So every game's been a blowout. Now nicely taken. Close to the sideline. Wrestled out. He looks like he's landed hard on his head there, one of the Canadian players, and getting right up in the face as Lucas Rumble is not happy with how his teammate was treated, complaining about the ref. As old as the game, all the way back through history. I think there's about 24 players in the Springboks that are in their 30s. And Canada are running out of time, says Ruth. And also, we have got there what happens if the power goes out. Well, to be fair, if the power goes out, it's probably quite dark for the players anyway. They'll probably have to wait for the lights to go back on. Definitely if it's an evening game, the heat and humidity. And the Japanese summer is brutal to walk in, let alone play rugby in. Well, there are 3 under-20s who are training with the Box squad, including Pede. Yeah, they've got Pede, Kakane, and also Cheswell Euster is the other man there who has been playing for the Bulls in the in the Curry Cup. Now, rolling more for Japan. They go over. And that will be try number 5. Now they're starting to really assert some dominance there. I should give the ref 50 lashes when they get it wrong, says Bruce. But then the thing is, sometimes when people think the refs have got it wrong, they've actually got it right. And that's where the tricky part of it. I think if we had basic laws, like a lot of other sports, it would be much easier. But because it is such an intricate kind of game, when it comes to those breakdowns, when it comes to many aspects of the contest, that's where the room for interpretation can be pretty wide. But Ben Gunter, the man who does score that try, our Razor, well, it looks like that 40 points prediction wasn't far off after all, says Tanner too. And I can't even blame Peter Nelson on that try either. Seunson Lee. Another kick at the post. And it has gone over. Japan now leading 36 points to 10. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of fight left in this Canadian side, I should say. And Abby's error in discipline was that bad last week. You'll never win against an AI ref with us. And Gunter, as an Australian, I think we would be pretty good in the Wallabies, to be honest. Says it was there from Razor. Yeah, honestly, he looks like a physical number 6, which would be pretty handy for the Wallabies at the moment. I like Japan because I have Yamaha, says Bruce. And unbelievable, they hit their stride now, says Ruth there. And yeah, they could still close in on that 50 points. They've got 14 minutes to be able to score potentially 2 more tries in this contest. Seunson Lee has been kicking very well, so chance of it going over would be quite high. Oh, that one's going to be knocked back and then knocked on by the Japanese. I believe it should be a Canadian scrum, but the referee has said play on. Someone's boot, or in fact it's a scrum cap, has come off. I'll drop to champion Crispigny or Tizano for him any day. Says it's Razor, another offload. Dylan Riley going now to Seunson Lee. Okay, they're going back for that Japan knock on, but it was first from the Canadians. But yeah, a big clear one. I'm surprised that the TMO was the one who had to get involved. That one, the number 1 from Canada, is having a big shift tonight. That'll be Martinez, I think, is in the number 1 jersey for the Canadians today. So a couple more changes are about to be made for Canada, as well as Japan do. 1 more try, hopefully, says Joshua. Oh, Josh, were you the one who had that under 50-something points in this game? Is that where... Yeah, under 56.5 total combined. I completely forgot that you mentioned about that. So I assume you did back the under option in that regard. So you need less than 57 points, and currently they have got 46. What rank is Japan? I think they're about 15th. Maybe a bit higher, maybe about 13th. One moment, World Rugby Rankings. Where do the Japanese sit at the moment? They are sitting... Oh, no, sorry, they're 11th. My apologies. I was thinking of Samoa from the earlier game, and Fiji are 14th. But now, running forward for Shida. And yep, says Joshua, good luck, mate. It's getting close. Says it's Razor. Yeah, Japan are starting to find a little bit of their stride here. Don't lose hope. The Japanese could possibly do a South Africa. Says Tanner. Now backline movement. Sam Green going off now. Big run forward. Oh, told to get out of there. Was the Canadian replacement. Ty here, prop. Another drop ball from Japan. They'll go back now for the scrum. I've got there. I think USA versus Aussie will be a better game to cover. They how close they were earlier this year. Says Kiwi Rob, but it also means if I do that game that I probably wouldn't be able to do the Ramphilly Shield Challenge. So that is a little bit of the reasoning behind it. We have got the $125 is what Joshua has put on it for that one. That would have been paying, what, maybe 250 back, somewhere around there? Or 250 in total? 200 in total, maybe? I assume it was about that money line. And now Canada, put the ball in again. 11 minutes remaining, and what are we winning? Says that's right. I like how you said we there, as if, you know, you're going to get that percentage in there as well. Maybe change rugby rules to make it more simple in general, so the AI gameplay should be smooth. And like it's a clear penalty. Clear penalty that sometimes refs can't see. We biased against, says Dylan. And we have got there what games next week, says Mohadin. We are going to be doing the Rugby Championship. Alongside that, we have got plenty more coming up on the channel. You didn't do the Ramphilly Shield game last week. That's because I was sleeping, Kiwi Rob. Because of the overnighter that we were going to be doing the next day. Very argumentative today, aren't you? We have got the Aussies will beat the USA. They have close, but Aussie edges them out. It's equivalent to an All Blacks versus Argentina game. It's a possibility, but rare. Says it's Razor. Yeah, from that first game up against the English, it just seemed like the USA didn't really have an answer for that style of play that we saw from the English. Australia, you know, they should be closer. You just never know, though. That pressure of the World Cup, I'm emotionally invested now. Says Studs Race. Kiwi Robs needs to start a channel. Says it's Razor. I tell you what, if he did, he can cover that USA versus Australia game. And we will even redirect people to him so that they can watch him on that one. How about that? And Japanese could do another two. Says Ruth. Now, Canada, sitting 40 metres out from their line, backline movement again. It's just a little bit flat at the moment in terms of Japan rushing up, not giving a lot of space for the Canadians to be able to work with that first pass. Maybe not quite as crisp as they want it to be either. But up to 70 minutes through now. Ice cream for Hamish. Says Ruth there. Now, rolling this one back. I heard that the bookies aren't taking money on England women. That's probably fair enough. In fact, I don't know what the line is for that game, but I would assume it's pretty one-sided in terms of the odds of, I'd say probably it's got to be about a 70-point difference. Green, the fullback, is very impressive. Says Suds Race. And also Japan have changed their system or defensive system, and Canada aren't adjusting. They are getting rushed. Yeah, they're just running out of space, something that maybe the USA didn't do too well last week in terms of just allowing Canada to get that ball moving a little bit more. And Aussies did great in South Africa. Says Ruth. And there as well. But Canada now almost up to halfway. It looks like now they're going to go for that kick in behind here. They have the Women's World Cup? Yes, they do. So, Women's World Cup, England, Samoa. Oh, wow. The line is actually worse than I thought it was. It's minus 87.5. So they're thinking England could get their way towards 100. That is an awkward bouncing ball. Was that a knock on from Peter Nelson? It looked very close to it, but Japan now with the counter ruck. 10 metres out. Looks like Japan, they're playing around now. Take it easy, guys. The Canada 9. It's a weird box kick technique. Are you commentating the Rugby Championship also? I am. It is happening next week, though, as there is the bye week in the Rugby Championship. So, yeah, we will be doing that New Zealand versus South Africa game, as well as hopefully Australia, Argentina. If we get rid of human refs, who will fans blame for their team losing? Says Flesh, and imagine the scenes. They'd actually have to blame the players. That'd be a bit rough. And England point start minus 87.5, so it's expected to be a high scoring one. Total points 96.5 is also roughly expected. 8 minutes just remaining now. No wind and 31 degrees Celsius. Canada, the country. We love the cold, but don't like this. Says NZ right. I wish I got a fish hook stuck in the back of my head when casting. Was it your own fish hook or was it someone else's? Because if you've managed to cast it in your back, you're probably trying to do a bit too much. You're bringing it round too far. Time is the Springboks game next week. It will be 9:05 a.m. for you guys in South Africa, but 7:05 for us here in New Zealand. And Red, I am the law, says the AI. Thrown in, nicely taken. Japan again. They have just made more meters throughout this second half. I think it's the best way of describing it. They've made better decisions, given away less penalties. Now another big run here. And our Canadians love the cold. Oh, nice hand. Sam Green cutting back inwards, passes across to his teammate. And that will be another try. This time it is to Moki Osada. And now it gets a little bit closer to that 56. Does Pacific Nations Cup affect world rankings? It does. So if Fiji had lost to Tonga, they would have actually dropped a whole 2 points in the rankings. I never broke the law. I am the law. And damn, says Joshua, yeah, it's going to go down to the wire, unfortunately for you, Josh. It's going to be that one last moment. 40 points exactly the prediction. It's complete, says Dana. But yeah, just beautiful draw and pass there. I had a girlfriend once, and she lived in Fishhook. And I'm looking forward to Japan versus Fiji. That will be the final. I think it is a real 50-50. Says it's Razor. Because was that the final last year? I think it was, wasn't it? One moment. We have a quick look and see what the score was there. Actually, no, I remember it was because Fiji actually did a lot better in that game than some expected. And Fiji actually dominated them, didn't they? Yeah, 41-17 in the final of the Pacific Nations Cup, even though it was a home game for the Japanese. I think it was, yeah. Says it's Razor. And slow it down, says Joshua. And also, I think I'll wait until I'm 50 and then try again. For, fishing, I assume you're talking about. It's still the 6 minutes left on the clock. 43 points to 10. Oh, they're just talking about one of the coaches standing down. But not for these two sides, for the Wild Knights. Now kicking over to the sideline again. Sienson Lee's been in firm control of this game. Nail biter, says Joshua. And don't worry, Peter won't let any more points through. I believe in him. It was a good exit too. Webb will make his way onto the field for Canada. That is rather than Peter Nelson, actually Jason Higgins. Meters gained, almost triple the meters for the Japanese. Tackles made, 98% of the tackles made by Japan. That is an insane number. To be fair to Canada, 91% of their tackles made throughout this matchup too. His ball, it is going to be the Canadian line out. I'm going to throw this one in. It is Jesse McHale. Slinging it across to the left. Come on, Canada, park the bus, says Studs Razor. 98% is remarkable. Well, says it's Razor. Definitely when you consider the fact that Canada have had the ball, maybe not quite as much as they would have liked, but they've still had it quite a bit. Another penalty goes the way to Japan. Now 5 minutes left on the clock, and this will get them right back into the corner where they want to be. There's Ben Gunther. They're talking about that halftime score, 17 points to 10. We are really far from that now. Japan on a mission. Says Ruth. I reckon it will be 50-50 if they played like how they played against Tonga. If they played like their July season, then it will be an easy big win for Fiji. Says Dylan, yeah, they were incredibly impressive up against the Scottish as well as up against Australia. That was a game that they weren't given a lot of chance in, but if it wasn't for that TMO call, they went right back and took a try away from them that they shouldn't have. They could have got themselves a win there. It could have been 2 from 2 in July. Where's the ball, says Joshua. At the moment, it is 10 metres out from the Canadian line. Line out throw for the Japanese, claimed by Warner Dearns. Now pop pass up, 5 metres out from the line. They're over the line, and Japan score again. It is going to be a shedder. Big smile on the face of Eddie Jones as this Japanese side do strike again. Sorry, Joshua says it's Razor there, and Japan 2015 would easily beat Fiji. Says 2-0 there. And also the game is only as good as its commentary. Well done, Hamish. Says cool story. And also the Japan are tackling at 98%. It means that the Canadian power game didn't work. He did say that the Japanese are some of the best chop tacklers he has ever seen, though. And should be over 60, I reckon. Eddie lost that first. And check, hold up. Are they going to go upstairs? Check something here, or is it going to be the first try of the day for Ishida? What happened to this game to blow out like this? I think Canada just played a 40-minute game, unfortunately. They were competitive in the first half, but the second half has just been all Japan. In fact, that wasn't even the truth. I think that Canada had about the first, 5 minutes of the half. They looked really dangerous and looked like scoring, and then from there it's just been all going the way of the Brave Blossoms. Fingers crossed, held up. Says Joshua, sadly it is a try. It's Japan's turn to show off now, it seems, says Bruce. And Eddie Jones needs applause for his coaching here. Yeah, I have no idea what happened at halftime in terms of that team talk, but obviously it heavily fired up this Japan side. Now another step coming in from Masada. There's obstruction. And the ball go over. The ball did go over, so 50 points to 10 now. Why are they walking back to the line, boys? You're down by 40. Show some pride and run to the line. Says it's Razor, and Canada ran out of puff fitness. And I'll say they didn't even look at it, sorry, Josh. Says studs raised, but now they are kicking this one into the corner for Canada. They will be 5 metres out from line with a chance of a rolling maul, but that is also somewhere that we have seen Japan do very well, is shutting down that maul of the Canadians. There's also been a few moments where there was a bit of miscommunication from Canada's line out. Now that Jesse McHale's out there, seems like it's straightened that out a little bit. Now thrown in. Nicely taken at the front. Rolling more defence from Japan. They do want to hold strong like they have multiple times throughout this match. It looks like there's no rush here. Still moving forward. Canada breaking off the back. Oh, big man tries to step. He gets over. And Canada will score. It'll be their second try of the contest. Japan on fire. Says 2-0 there, and it's only 40 points for a team. It's already qualified for the World Cup. Says Kiwi Rob. Wait, it's only 40 points for a team that's already qualified for the World Cup. So, like, you're saying that it's not enough points, or that you're saying it is a good amount? And did he just fins up? He did. The fin there. That's Matt Heaton. Oh, no, sorry, Jesse McHale. Plays for the Bears. Where does the fin come into it? I wonder. Are they saying that maybe Jesse McHale, oh, he's a New Zealander who did play in Nelson, I believe. So that's where the Tasman Marco's fin kind of comes from, I believe. Over there scored more. So it's only 40 points for a team that's already qualified. So they should have scored more, is what you're saying. Do some more pods with Mark and others, please. Says Bruce. Yeah, hopefully we will be able to organise something for the relatively near future. I'm not too sure whether or not it would be a debate again, or whether it would just be some sort of collaboration around the corner. But Canada still sitting with a little tiny bit of time left on the clock. We're up to the red. Our fins up might be for Shane Christie. That could be true. As that was the passing this week, wasn't it? Now, told to use it, Canada. They're going to go into the pocket. They're actually going to kick this one downfield. They won't kick it into touch. This was an interesting choice from Canada. I get that they were only just out from their line, but they've decided rather than just kicking it out, that they want to give one last chance for the Japanese on attack. Oh, and the penalty goes the way of Canada, so it's actually worked in their favour here. So bottom two will not qualify for the Rugby World Cup. So I think that is the case, yeah, that they do have to go through the repechage to be able to get there. This podcast with Jimmy Marshall was really good, says it's Razor. As long as it's a laugh, says Bruce. Fiji was allowed to keep their main players from Europe. Do you think Fiji would be enough to be in the championship? I look at their 3 recent years. I think they'd be relatively competitive. Like, maybe there'll be the occasional game that they lose by quite a bit, but then saying that, that's the same as Argentina, isn't it? How, they have their off games every once in a while. Thoughts on Razor's head? Head on the board after Eden. I think that they're not going to sack him. Like, the thing is, as much as people would go, the Eden Park record is gone if the All Blacks were to lose. Oh, TMO's getting involved here. What are they checking? Head-on-head contact is what they've got. For Hamish, with the top 3 teams outside of Fiji, Japan, and who have already qualifying for the Rugby World Cup is Pacific 1, 2, and 3, are the reigning 6 team in the competition. Will have 2 further opportunities to qualify. Initially, they are advanced to Pacific 4 to a South America Pacific playoff. Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. I'm trying to look at this collision. It was head-on-head from Fukuda there. So there is a chance that we do see maybe a yellow card here. Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't actually Fukuda. My apologies. That was actually Stephen Webb. It did end up doing that one. Okay, it's low danger. We have got there, yes, before you carry on, I don't think you understand these grounds, or those grounds, Hamish, but to live it, says the AI. And we have got there, they're not letting Fiji into the championship. It wouldn't become too much of a threat, says Fleshin. But yeah, there are still plenty of opportunities to get into that World Cup. Definitely with the fact that it is extended, they're not letting Fiji into the championship. That would become too much of a threat. Yes, it's quite sad to listen to, given what's happened this week. He knew that he was in trouble. Says it's Razor. Now, ready to kick this one into touch. Nicely done by Japan. So they have decided they want one more. They're not going to take a tap. It looks like a rugby incident. What's the tackler supposed to do when the ball carrier changes direction, says Starts Race? Yeah, and it was well reffed by Paul Williams. I feel like a penalty is probably fine. We've seen those given as more before. What did Japan get for scoring more points? The win. It's the main thing, and points differential. Of course, they don't want to lose another player to injury, but they also, they're a prideful team. They will try and score one more try in front of their home crowd, just to give them one last big thing to cheer about, because we've got to remember the last try that we've seen scored was actually Canada. So they want to be that team that can say, we were the last one to cross the chalk in this game rather than our opposition, and that will also make Eddie Jones, I'm sure, a lot happier. They're going to go off to the right-hand side now, running it sideways, driven backwards, and a big shot was a shitter. I should wear helmets. I do in case I fall. But I stop myself looking ridiculous. When I go out, I carry a skateboard under my arm, and that's how Argentina got to where they are now, joining the Tri-Nations. Says Tuna, they're now only 5 metres out from the line. Canada should have forfeited at half-time, says I. Although this is all very good learnings for a side wide cut-out pass. Bounces into the hands of the number 16. Some nice stepping from Saito. Still playing the penalty advantage. Now another dangerous step. Number 14 goes over again. Ashida scores 2 and gets the last try of the match. Look at that hooker move. Says it's Razor. And also Eddie Jones is overrated. Says Kiwi Rob, and also should have mistaken him, or could have mistaken him for a winger. Says it's Razor. Yes, some brilliant stepping from Kenji Sato out on that wing, and some great power shown by one of the smaller players on the field in Ishida. You could be a rugby player? I definitely could not. Don't have the size, the speed, or the physicality of any sort to be even close to standing on a field. Japan were just too strong, to be honest. The last segment looks like pros versus amateurs. Every carry was front foot ball. And good one for Japan, says I lollipop, and almost says the AI. And there as well. So hopefully if Joshua is still here, to make him feel only a little tiny bit better, at least there were a lot more points than that margin, if that makes sense. Like if it had just been that last try, like in this case we had a total of, it would have been 72 points. So that was 1 or 2 tries more than the line that you went for. I don't think that'll make you feel any better actually, but just saying, look for slight positive. But end score in this contest, 57-15. A big win for the Japanese. They will play the USA next week. We have good there. Thanks, Hamish. Japan might be getting their mojo back. And don't forget, this is a double qualifier for the Nations Championships, says Kiwi Rob. Got the laugh in there from Razor there too. So the next live stream that we have got on the channel will be taking place in around just under 4 hours' time, ladies and gentlemen, and that will be the game between Scotland and Fiji. I am looking forward to seeing that game, as it might be the last chance for the Fijians to qualify for the quarterfinals. For Scotland, that could guarantee their spot heading into the quarterfinals. The next game after that, England versus Samoa. It's not supposed to be close, but I'm intrigued to see what this English side look like. You should give betting advice. I really shouldn't, because all I have learnt from that, in terms of anyone that I've talked to who has tried to do a channel based off tips or anything, is you just get an unheard or ungodly amount of abuse for when you get it wrong. When you get it right, people don't say thanks. They just say, what's your next week's pick? So, it's just it's a rough road to go down. That is for sure. I know Hamish to the Canadian woman says it's Razor in there. They're playing just around the corner, aren't they? They're taking on the Welsh. I believe. Don't give tips to the studs race. This game's still going. The game is now over. The scoreboard does not want to stop, though. At this point in time, you be a rugby player, Hamish. It's a position for all sizes. Eat lots of eggs and whey. Says Bruce. And also Rugby World Cup Canada versus Wales. It's taking place at 10:40 p.m. And thanks again, Hamish. Lots of fun. Says Bruce. And also we'll get there. Well, great game. Congrats, Japan. Thanks, Hamish. Your mustache and commentary. Awesome again. 4 hours. See you all later then. Says Ruth. And also these MFs lacking. Sorry, Hamish. Says the AI underdog pick. Yeah, it just seems like Canada feeling a bit deflated at the end of that game. And yeah, they're not happy. They're pretty much saying they're just getting it wrong. And see you later. Says Lesson. So yeah, we will see you guys later on for those live streams that are taking place. I appreciate watching with you today. Says it's Razor. We've got plenty more tomorrow. I am hoping to do that Ramphilly Shield game, if Kiwi Rob does allow it, of course, seeing as I didn't do the one last week. But if I am allowed to do it, we will be doing that matchup between Southland and Waikato. And then also alongside that, we've got New Zealand versus Japan, and then South Africa versus Italy. And then, of course, these two matches of the Women's World Cup. Thanks for the commentary, man. Says John's there. And also, we've got the, are you doing a prediction for the Springboks and All Blacks teams? We certainly are. That'll be filmed probably within the next kind of 2 days or so. I just want to wait to see if there's any sort of injury updates that are coming out before I go too deep. Like, at the end of the day, Cortez Ratama might be available, but he also might not be. So I'm hoping on about Monday we get an update on that side of things. But for South Africa, it will be within the next couple of days that one does come out. Thanks, great commentary, says Dylan. Thank you very much for being here, Dylan. It is, of course, very greatly appreciated. But nonetheless, are you doing Wellington versus Auckland? I won't be doing that game, but I'll probably be watching it. I was considering doing it, but then at the same time, if we've got a close to all-nighter the next night, I think I'll end up just doing the Ramphilly Shield one out of those two. And then from there, doing those two Women's World Cup games as well. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. End score 57 points to 15. Eventually the scoreboard will say full time, but for now it's up to 90 minutes. Apparently, Italy should play Japan. Good battle. Says the AI underdog pick. That would be a good match. How lucky is our players not being injured? Well, certain players very lucky, I would say. Definitely with the list that we have seen from the injury count. There's probably a list of about 10 guys who aren't at the 100%. Even some of the guys who are in the squad probably are still feeling a few bumps and bruises from that last contest. But it'll be intriguing to see who makes it to the field for that big match at Eden Park. But nonetheless, 15th outro on the stream. Oh, I'm talking about the woman, says Kiwi Rob. I assume you're talking about the one who made her way off the bench in that game. Yeah, she looked like she was in a lot of pain. I assume that is the one that you're saying about. But yeah, there's going to be a few injuries throughout that World Cup for all the teams, unfortunately. And sadly, it could come down to just who avoids those big injuries for the longest. Could go the furthest. The competition had a quick break and a snack, says Ruth. And yep, says Kiwi Rob. But yeah, it looked like a brutal one. She looked like she snapped her leg in half. But for her to be all right is pretty massive on the Black Ferns. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for watching. We will see you all in a few hours' time. I will see you all for the next one.